Finger on it.
All right. Maybe we'll point that thing down just a little bit.
Where's Austin at?
There we go.
Austin?
That was good.
Okay, we're good. Well, I don't know. You can get it on the
telling
front.
me.
Lying ass.
Is it recording? It's recording. I see the red
pull up on your
thing.
phone.
Oh man,
Here's
just
an
that
app you
lying
can put on
ass.
there.
You said it.
All right, so today we'll kind of work this a little bit differently than what we'll when we start going forward in class. But this will be our first one. So is this opposite or alternate?
Opposite.
I heard some answers, but nobody was terribly
It's opposite.
Opposite.
All right,
I'm
it's
100%.
All right.
Main.
Opposite is it simple or compound?
Simple.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So we know it's opposite, so that means we go back to madcap horse. Everybody remember what that means?
Maple,
ash,
Very good.
and cap. The cap's all one thing.
Caprifoliaceae is the Caprifoliaceae family.
Horse chestnut.
And horse chestnut. All right. Anybody know what this is?
Maple.
It's
Some kind
a
of
maple. It's some kind of maple. What kind of maple is it?
Red.
No.
White.
Silver.
No.
Silver.
No.
Blue.
It's Norway. This is Norway maple. This is the planted variety.
Oh,
This
it's
is
ain't a
Norway
colored maple.
What's that? Yeah, this is Acer platanoides in the Aceraceae family. All right, this is very commonly planted as an ornamental. It has escaped into the outskirts. You won't typically find this growing in the woods, but it has, you can't find other places. Now, Norway maple does look a lot like sugar maple. The leaf shape, entire leaf margins, the sinuses form U's. All right, but if you look at Norway maple, the easy way to tell it apart, especially by the leaves, is the leaf, as you hold it up, is wider than it is tall.
Yeah.
All right, the leaf is wider than it is tall.
I wish she suckers would hold still so I could find out.
Yeah, with wind blowing, it's kind of fun, and I didn't pick a very good
Man, you got a highlighter I can borrow?
What?
A highlighter or
I got a
something?
pen.
What are you doing? Marking them off?
Yeah, I
You'll
just
see
marked
these all
the
over
check
campus.
by.
Also, when you pull the leaf off and you squeeze the base of the petiole, there's 3 little white dots will show up where transport tissue, transport things.
Okay.
You'll be able to see that white stuff. So,
All right, what do you
Thanks,
do?
bro.
Squeeze it at the petiole.
yeah,
and
squeeze the base of the petiole.
Squeeze it at the base of the petiole.
And we get closer to fall, it's going to dry up some, so it's not going to be quite the same.
We forgot we had stretching here.
All right, so you squeeze that thing right there. There's the white stuff coming out of it.
Yeah, man.
Don't typically see that in sugar maple. Right? But as
cool.
you can see, 3 little white dots. Usually, this is a little bit more clubbed together there at the base of the petiole, and we can see the leaf is wider than it is tall. Sugar maple will be the other way around. It's taller than it is
Where the
wide.
3 white dots at?
They're at the base of the petiole.
Okay.
Kind of squeeze it.
Stuff. I see.
That's exclusive for Norway maple? Is that what he said?
No, if you can, that's great. But when you look at these, it's kind of hard to do.
Man, what do you think would work for my leaf?
All right, did anybody find? Yeah, here's the other thing. Here's the fruit off of this Norway maple. Norway maple is the fruit on the maple is a samara. All right, and there's the little helicopters everybody played with when they were kids. And I don't know why I've always thought this, but the Norway maple is very linear. Very linear. To me, it looks like 2 ducks kissing.
Man.
All right. I don't know why I thought this, but this looks like a body, looks like ducks kissing. And the other maples we'll look at, they're much more, they're not linear. Like a sugar maple will be horseshoe shaped. So if you see the ones, the samaras that are very linear, very straight line, it's Norway maple. Okay. The bark also is a little bit different. It's a little more, kind of has ridges, interlacing ridges. Nothing else really kind of looks like that with maple wise. All right. Questions on Norway maple? Questions on Norway maple? All right, we'll move on to the next one. Oh, I don't remember that. Simple or compound?
Am I supposed to be looking at you or the
It
tree?
doesn't matter. You can look at the tree now.
I'll get everybody.
All right. Compound. Well, actually, I should ask you first. Opposite or alternate? I got to order. Opposite or alternate? Alternate. Everybody understand why we say it's alternate?
Because they're lined up together.
Right? And then simple or compound? Yeah, if you look, these are alternate on the leaf, on the stem. Right? And then this is one leaf. Right? This is one leaf. The compound leaf.
So do you want that now?
Yep, that, yeah, if this you're putting this in leaf collection, that is one leaf. Right? That's one leaf. Right? This would be pinnately compound, if we get that far into it. Okay. Any idea what this is? Anybody see anything else would help you identify what this is?
Let me find it. Right there it is.
All right, this is a hickory. Which one is it?
I ain't tearing it off there.
What's
I
wrong?
ain't gonna tear it off there. I know how I'd feel if somebody ripped my nuts off, so that ain't cool, man.
Man, this camera's on you, fool.
Jeff obviously doesn't care.
There it is, a hickory.
Butternut.
We got a guess of a mocker nut. What else you look at?
Butternut.
Not butternut. All right, we look at the bark. What do you know about the bark?
It's shaggy.
It's kind of shaggy. All right. What else do you notice?
About the
We look
bark?
at the leaves. We look at the bark. Look at the buds. What do the buds look like?
Right there. I can reach it.
Look at the buds on this thing.
Oh no, I wouldn't touch that. You just bully trees, don't you? Ripping
grow
our
back.
hair out and everything. Daggone.
All right, what do you notice about that bud?
It's big.
Yeah, it's pretty large.
It's a big one.
What do you notice
Tell
about
you
this
about big
fruit?
buds.
Pretty large. All right. This is actually shell bark. All right, this is shell bark hickory. Caria lacinosa in the Juglandaceae family.
All right, what was that?
Caria
Shell bark hickory. Caria lacinosa.
lacinosa in the Juglandaceae family.
Yeah, boy.
All right. Now, if this was a little more dried out, we could take this. This is the nut. All right. And we'll talk about these and one of the terms that we'll need to learn. This nut has what is called a dehiscent involucre. All right, the outside covering this, some people call it a husk. It can be an involucre, but dehiscent means it splits open. So this thing, you can see you've just got four. Technically, these things are called sutures, where they come together. And if we could get those off there, we could look at this, and we would see that the fruit is not round. It's not a golf ball shape. All right, it's actually flat. Shell bark hickory, the fruit is laterally compressed. So it looks like somebody took it and went and squished it down. All right. Shag bark, it's not. Shag bark stays pretty circular, stays pretty round. All right, shell bark's compressed. So with shell bark, laterally compressed hickory nuts, compound leaves, large buds. All right, shag bark doesn't have near this large buds, and it's got somewhat shaggy bark. This one's not quite as much, but it tends to be in smaller plates. And I've heard people say a couple different things. The shag bark only splits off at the bottom, shell bark splits off the top, a couple different things. All right, we'll not look at hickories. We'll try to look at hickories all at one time, because what we'll find is hickories are pretty difficult and they hybridize. All right, so you can find one hickory tree that's got all kinds of different lessons. And everybody keep in mind, West Virginia University is a tobacco-free campus. So when you see your video and there's a chew of snuff that goes right in front of it, that technically is against WVU policy.
Yeah, guys.
Just remind you. So, any questions on shell bark hickory? Caria lacinosa in the Juglandaceae family. Any questions on shell bark? Typically, we don't find a lot of this here. You do find it more as we go further west. It does well in river valleys. There was many years I told kids, we can't find shell bark here. It doesn't grow in this part of the world. And then there's one right here in the backyard. It's obviously been planted here. You get over along the Ohio River, these become much more common, but you can find them around. Okay. All right. Opposite or alternate?
Opposite.
Alternate.
I don't know.
Somebody decide.
It's opposite.
It's
I'm
opposite. All right. What else you notice?
It's got berries.
All right, it's got red berries on it. All right. It is opposite. All right. Madcap horse.
This is a
Flowering
dogwood.
dogwood. So it's simple compound.
Simple.
Simple. Flowering dogwood is Cornus florida in the Cornaceae family.
Cornaceae. I was going to say cornicae, but
Yeah, Cornaceae. Cornaceae.
cornaceae.
And if you look,
Flowering
some of
dogwood.
these are very easy to see that they're opposite. You can see them straight across. And even if you look at some of the other twigs, you can see where they're opposite across. Now, flowering dogwood, you see the berries on here. Of course, everybody knows dogwood because of the flowers. You can see the fruit on here. This is actually a drupe. It's not a berry. Anybody know the difference between a drupe and a berry?
No, man.
A drupe has one seed. A berry has multiple seeds.
So
So we'll look at that. So if you were to take this and split this open, you'll see there's only one seed in that thing. Right?
Like a pit.
Basically, it's like a pit, exactly. Like a cherry is a drupe. All right, so cherry pits, exactly. All right. Where do we find dogwood in the forest? Where do we typically find dogwood?
I don't know if I've ever seen dogwood.
What's that? All right. Dogwood is very shade tolerant. It's an understory tree. Shade tolerant means it's able to survive in the shade, in the understory. It doesn't have to have full sunlight. So dogwood is shade tolerant. What do we use dogwood for? Have any uses?
Decoration.
All right, it is planted very commonly as ornamental. These fruits are very useful for wildlife. All kinds of turkeys and birds and small rodents and stuff eat this stuff up. So it is a good wildlife food. Used to, when we use wood for a lot more things than we do today that's been replaced with plastics and synthetics, dogwood's very hard. So it was used for things that had to be very impact resistant, weaving shuttles, hammerheads, split maul heads, things like that we would use that had to be very impact resistant. We would use dogwood for it. Golf clubs, when the drivers in golf clubs were actually woods, high-end golf clubs apparently were made out of dogwood. It's very impact resistant, very hard. So dogwood does have a problem now. You can kind of see it looks like this one may have it sort of starting.
Yeah,
there is a fungal disease in dogwood anthracnose that kills a lot of these out. There's people worried about them disappearing from the forest because of anthracnose, and basically it's just a fungus, and it works its way back and girdles the tree and kills it. And I don't know if that's what this one has or not, but it doesn't look real good. So. All right, so that's dogwood.
Dude, I might need one, yeah.
Opposite or alternate?
Man, don't want to take that whole thing.
Doesn't really matter. This is an evergreen, so it's a little bit different situation. What do you notice about it? What do you notice about the needles? A little different.
Oh, they got white stripes on them.
Flat. They're arranged flat on the twig, and they've got white stripes underneath of them. You notice anything else? It's got very small cones. All right. This is Eastern Hemlock Tsuga, which actually starts with a T. The T's silent. T-S-U-G-A. Tsuga canadensis in the Pinaceae family. Where do we find hemlock? All right. Hemlock typically find lower in stream courses. It also is shade tolerant. Very shade tolerant. It can grow in the understory for years and years and years and just sort of hang out there.
It's actually pretty big.
Yeah, it can get, and it responds very well. It can get extremely large as well. Right. Hemlock is round. We see it pretty commonly, and at a certain place you can see it starts to move back up. But flat needles, arranged flat on a twig, small cones, white lines underneath. Hemlock's pretty easy to identify. What are the issues with hemlock? Here? Yeah, hemlock woolly adelgid is a sap-feeding insect that basically sometimes you can find these. I see some yellow over here. I don't know if they've got the edges or not. Not really the right time of year to find them, but basically they look woolly, if you will. If you flip the twig over and look on the bottom, there'll be this little white woolly mass. A little black bug in there. Basically, it's a sap-feeding bug. Their mouth is like a hypodermic needle, and basically they insert in and they suck sap out of the leaves, all right, and out of the twig. So they interrupt the transport system. Eventually, they will kill the tree. So hemlock woolly adelgid is one of the forest health issues we have to deal with right now. Any questions on hemlock? Okay, opposite or alternate?
Alternate.
Alternate. Yeah, it's alternate.
Opposite or alternate?
Alternate. Right?
Alternate. And alternate. Simple or compound? Simple. Unique leaf shape. What is this, Stretch? Sweet gum. Liquid ambar styraca flua in the Hemimelidaceae family.
Yeah.
Liquid ambar styraca flua in the Hemimelidaceae family.
You speak another language, Jeff.
Alright. This is one of those that's extremely easy, or should be extremely easy to identify while it's got leaves. Okay. You can see the leaves, you can see the fruit are hanging all over this thing. This is an aggregate of beaked capsules. Okay. Each one of these little spine-looking beak things is a capsule. Eventually those things will split open, so they're dehiscent also. They split open. You can see that whenever they're split open, and the seeds sort of pop out of them. Okay. Right now these are green, they're not fully mature, but you can see those there that have popped open and the seeds have come out of them. So it's an aggregate of a beaked capsule, I think is what they call it. Okay. The other thing with sweet gum that we can see is if you look at the twigs, especially, you get some of these down here are a little too small, some of them are too big, but if you look, they've got corky ridges that grow on the twigs. And right here's a pretty good example. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Right here, you can see these corky ridges that go on top of the twig. All right, they're just extra thing to grow on it. Not very many things that we'll look at have those corky ridges. All right, so that's kind of a giveaway. The bark, kind of brown and gray, flat-topped ridges, not very deep furrows.
Yeah, what's up with all
We can see that. That's woodpecker holes.
Yeah.
Sapsucker holes, yep. What do we use sweet gum for?
Sweet gum.
Or where does sweet gum grow? Sweet gum is probably the most important hardwood in the South. All right, we're kind of at the northern edge of its range. It doesn't grow very well here in the woods, although it will escape. But you find it planted very commonly because everybody thinks the leaf looks kind of cool. So you'll find it planted in a variety of places, but you don't find a whole lot out into the wild escape. In the South, maybe it's one of the more important commercial hardwoods, but in many cases in the South also, it's considered a weed because they're trying to cultivate pines and this thing tries to grow in. So there's a lot of efforts made in many places to kill this stuff because they're trying to get it to quit competing with the pines. But they'll use it for similar uses in the South that we use yellow poplar for here in the North. All right, so they'll use it for lumber and different things like that, just like we use yellow poplar here. All right, liquid ambar styraciflua. Any questions about sweet gum? This is one of the easier ones we'll see, especially with leaves on. All right, we'll do this one, the broadleaf one. Opposite or alternate?
Opposite. Mountains of course.
Opposite or alternate?
That's alternate.
Trick question.
It's neither.
It's world.
World.
All right, it's world. If you look, it's in threes.
Man, I've been
All right,
staring
this
at
is
that
the one
three
we'll
right
look
there.
at. There may be another one, but this is basically the only one we'll look at that's world. There may be a couple, something else comes up oddball, but all right. Don't hurt yourself on the steps, please. Don't need to call from the soccer coach saying, how'd you break his leg and lap?
He was reaching for a leaf and he
You're
fell.
just getting a leaf, coach. What is it, simple or compound?
Simple.
Simple leaf. What else do you notice?
They're kind of heart-shaped.
They're heart-shaped.
Cordate.
Cordate. Very good. Entire margins. Right. What else you notice? Anything else?
Man, shouldn't there be beans on this sucker?
Yeah, what is this?
I always call it bean trees.
Catalpa. Catalpa. C-A-T-A-P-A-Calpa. Catalpa. That didn't work out too well.
What's the scientific name so I can find it?
Catalpa speciosa in the Bignoniaceae family. Northern Catalpa. All right, this is very commonly planted as an ornamental. It does get a very white, showy cluster of flowers on it in the springtime. It also, a lot of people are like, that's a cigar tree. If you look, you can see a couple out there at the ends of those. There's one right there above Casey's head. All right.
Right above the ink.
That's an aggregate of achenes. There's things, if you split that thing open, it's got winged seeds in it. All right, so we can see that. This also grows in the wild. All right, it does do really well along water. You'll find the seeds are carried very well with water, so a lot of times you'll see it growing along the banks, shores of creeks and streams because of the way that the seeds are carried. But very commonly planted as an ornamental. Also, you'll see it grown in hedgerows, fence lines, stuff like that occasionally. It tends to find it more along water. All right, no real commercial uses, more uses for it as an ornamental, but you do see it commonly in the wild. All right. Any questions on Catalpa? Catalpa speciosa in the Bignoniaceae family. That looks like the one from Harry Potter. Yeah, nice. All right, the question's on catalpa. All right, since we're standing right here, what's the next one here behind us?
Spruce, man.
What is that? Any ideas?
No.
Any ideas? None? All right, obviously it is a conifer. You notice anything different about the way the needles are arranged on the twig?
Like a cactus, man.
All right, they're kind of in a cluster there, and if you look, they're on short shoots. All right, so that was one of the terms we had. Short shoots basically are where you've got a stem, but the shoot or the stem doesn't elongate between the internodes. All right, we'll see a variety of things that have short shoots. This is one of them, and each one of these, you can kind of see them on the twig. You can see you've got these little short things just look like leaf bars stacked up. Those are short shoots. All right. This is larch. All right. This is actually European larch, Larix decidua in the Pinaceae family. There is a native version of larch. There's an eastern larch or eastern tamarack, which is Larix laricina. We don't see a lot of those. They tend to be more swampy, boggy, maybe a little further north. But we'll see a lot of this as a European larch. It was planted here. It has escaped. You'll see places it's been planted on reclaimed mine sites and other places so you can find it. What's the other interesting thing about larch? It is deciduous. So you'll see this here short in October. This thing will turn a really pretty golden brown and all the needles fall off of it. Right? I have several times I've had people, hey, that tree over there beside Reynolds Hall's dying, or Reynolds Hall's dying. No, it's not. It'll be fine. All right. You look at these, the cones, which I saw cones. Yeah, you sort of see cones. What do you notice about the cones on these? Without even getting too close to look at them, what do you notice?
They grow upwards?
They grow upwards. All right, we'll talk about that on a couple of different things. These cones are erect. We'll talk about things that have cones that are pendant. We'll talk about things that have cones that are erect. In many cases, that can be pretty useful for identification. All right, this is one of them that you can't. But this one, because of the unique way that the needles grow around that short shoot, and the short shoots and the erect cones, this one becomes pretty easy to identify. Plus, it loses its needles. All right, so this is Larix decidua in a Pinaceae family, European larch. Questions on larch? Any questions so far? Yes, sir. What tree is that? That is an oak tree. We'll talk about oak trees later. That's an oak tree. That's a big one. Okay, here's our next one. What is this?
Mutated apple.
A what?
Mutated apple.
Mutated apple. No, not exactly.
All I know is it's supposed to keep spider.
All right.
Let me know, I'll bring mine out.
Osage orange or hedge apple. All right. Maclora palmifera in the Moraceae family. Maclora palmifera in the Moraceae family. All right. This is Osage orange. This is fairly common through the Midwest. It's pretty common around here as well. Some parts of West Virginia not so much, but it's been planted. But it's called hedge apple because in many cases it was used as a natural hedge, as a natural fence. All right, this one here is pruned and taken care of. You still kind of see the leaves where they droop. Maintenance people hate me because I won't let them cut this one down, but if you clean them all around. But these things, they grow naturally. They won't grow up real tall, and they'll just start to limb over, and the limbs will come almost clear down and touch the ground. And in many cases, they do have thorns on them. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. But some of them do have thorns. So they make good natural hedgerows, natural fence rows. All right. The fruit on them, are they opposite or alternate? I forgot. We're still in the first week. Opposite or alternate? Alternate, simple or compound? Simple. All right. Very leathery, lustrous leaf. Entire margins.
Waxy.
All right. Waxy kind of means lustrous, means shiny. All right. The fruit. This is the fruit. What's it look like? Cauliflower? Okay, that might work. All right, you can pass that around if you want to. A couple of things that we'll go through in this. Oftentimes we'll smell stuff, we'll cut stuff, we'll smell stuff. All right. You probably really shouldn't eat anything though. All right, I had a student a couple years ago. That was his first question. Is it edible? Can I eat it?
Don't they
we were out here the first day and he's like, can I eat this? And I went, nah. And by the time I got to nah, he was already biting down on it. He couldn't even make tooth marks in this thing. All right, they're really hard until it frosts and freezes, and then there's little tiny seeds inside this thing that actually break down Not a lot eats it in terms of wildlife. Birds will kind of pick it and starts to fall apart to get the seeds out of it. It also has, if you picked one off and you can kind of see it, sorry Zach, let me take it away from me. It's got a white liquid that comes out of it. It is very similar to latex. So if you have a latex allergy, you may have a reaction to that stuff if you kind of get it cut open. All right.
Don't that kill spiders?
There is an old farmer's tale or wives' tale that you put that in your house. It's supposed to keep spiders away. I don't know for sure whether it does or not.
Need that for the farmhouse, man.
Now,
spiders.
do not come out here and start rolling these things down the hill. I had a lab group here one day, and next thing like, hey, watch! And they're watching it, that thing's gaining speed and hops the wall when it gets down there.
Hops the wall.
All right.
Somebody's
All right, so don't do that. If you pay attention, when you turn in down, when it close to fall and these things start falling off, there'll be a pile of them down here because they'll go down there and hit, and there's just enough slope, they'll hit the base of the wall and they'll keep going to end up down there in the drain. I mean, like wheelbarrow loads up. Yeah, like wheelbarrow loads up. They vary in size. This has been a pretty good year. We've had quite a bit of rain. They're pretty large. Where's the big one that I had the first time I picked? They'll actually get bigger than that. I mean, they'll get bigger than a softball. They'll get huge.
That's all right.
Autumn. This is one. Remember the other day or this morning we were talking about perfect and imperfect flowers and different things. This is one that has that situation. This is a female tree. How can you tell it's a female? Has fruit on it. All right, this one has fruit on it every year. Somewhere close by there's a male that doesn't get fruit on it, obviously. All right, but this is what we call dioecious. How do you plant one of these? I'm not sure. I don't know if you can just take a fruit and bury it, if that would work or not.
Keep them spiders away.
Probably the best. Yeah, take help knock yourself out. You can have this one if you want. Anybody else need to look at it? You can have that. Or just wait and you can pick a bucket load of them down there. So this is dioecious. What?
Man, so much for scaring spiders away. Look what Sterling just pulled off my back.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe it doesn't work then. But yeah, you're supposed to put them, old tales, you put them in closets and things like that. They're supposed to keep spiders away. All right. The wood, what do we use the wood on this for? Anything? Anybody ever heard of anything from Osage orange?
Yeah, but I don't remember.
All right. It is a very orange colored wood, yellow to orange. And it doesn't have a whole lot of high quality, well-known uses, but specialty stuff. Traditional archery equipment, long bows, recurve bows. If you have orange in it, chances are it is Osage orange. All right, turkey calls. There are a lot of people like Osage orange turkey calls. Real hard. The wood itself is extremely hard. I had a buddy of mine that he got a sawmill kit that actually you put a frame on a chainsaw and you could saw with it. This stuff was hard. The chainsaw bar got hot enough it warped the blade on a chainsaw. That's how hard it was sawed to saw through this stuff. So it's hard. All right. One of the cool things we find around here, the bark has pretty thick ridges that we can see, interlacing ridges, kind of broad valleys between them. And if you look, you can almost see the orange in that. You can see the orange into the roots. You can see the orange into the inner part of the bark, even through the bark where it is. All right. So we'll see these in different places, but pretty common, pretty neat. Everybody always likes to see the big hedge apples on a thing. So it's one of those that's just kind of people tend to remember pretty well. They did. There's a bunch up on pages up in that part of the world.
Yeah.
All right. Questions on Osage orange? Maclora palmifera in the Moraceae family. Right. ULMUS.
It's
Ulmus americana. All right. This is American elm. Now we'll also look at slippery elm, but it's kind of a misnomer because if you'll notice, you feel these leaves, they're fairly smooth. They may have a little bit of texture to them. When we get to slippery elm, they'll be very, very coarse. Okay? But this is not. Now, the other way you can tell the two elms apart, if you can pull a piece of bark off like Jess has there, and you can get a piece of it and kind of shave it a little bit with a pocket knife, and you look at the cross section of it. So you got the piece of bark and you're looking at it like you cut the tree off. American elm, if you look at the bark, will have light and dark stripes in it.
just pull one up there.
Just like the American flag. Light and dark stripes in it. Slippery elm is pretty much brown. There may be some lines in it, but it's not going to be. This will actually have white lines in it if you get thick enough. Yeah, good luck. That's why I didn't run over and pull one off.
Jeffrey.
Don't you gotta figure out big it?
Oh, I got it on. But yeah, you kind of look at that one. See right there's a white line in it right now. I don't even have to cut it. All right, see the light, white and dark stuff. All right, but it looks like the American flag. So that's how you can tell it's American elm. All right. What do we use American elm for?
saw one now. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, you can start to see it there. See the white line in it?
Mm-hmm.
This one's not real good.
America.
Yeah. All right. Slippery elm. It stays pretty uniform throughout. All right. What do we use American elm for?
Killing Nazis.
Yeah. Not much anymore. What happened? What happened to American elm? What's wrong with American elm? Dutch elm disease. Our American elms were very. It's a native American forest tree, but it was very commonly planted in urban settings because its growth habit. American elm actually grows up and out, while this one here is kind of drooping. It hasn't improved, but it grows up and out. It's kind of vase-shaped. So it was very desirable for street trees because you didn't have to worry about stuff getting out into cars. It stayed up and away from sidewalks and trees. It was incredibly desirable for that. There was millions of them planted in cities across the country. But in Dutch elm disease, it meant it basically wiped those out, killed a lot of them. It was a fungal disease that was carried by a beetle, a sap-feeding beetle. And as it would pierce into the vascular tissue, it would also deposit the fungus, and it basically girdled the tree and killed it. So there's millions and millions and millions of elms that were killed that way. This one here seems to be immune. We're not sure why. I don't know how old this thing is, but it's pretty old. And it seems so far to have been immune. Not sure how much has been treated. I don't think it's been much. But there's lots of places that didn't seal for
Isn't
this.
there a project where they're bringing back, they're like crossbreeding the Chinese elm or whatever with the American elm, and then
I don't know if there's too much with that with the American elm, because American elm still, you can still find it. We still find slippery elm here, so it's not, you know, it's not. I'm not too aware of those. But has anybody ever tried to split firewood that was American elm? Yeah, everybody try that sometime because it cross grains. So that means when it grows, this morning we talked about cambium and how cells divide and the way trees grow. Well, typically they all grow the same direction. Well, slippery elm tends to, one year they'll grow this direction, and then the other year they'll grow this direction. So you've got basically interlocking grain. The way those growth rings have grown, you've got stuff that interlocks. If you're trying to split that, how's that going to work?
Man, they stick together. Yeah, I've tried to chop those things.
They should be. You know, things are straight grain. Those stuff lines up. This stuff looks like this. So it doesn't work well. So it's the lumber is white. If this was in lumber terms, we'd call this white elm. Slippery elm's red elm because of the color of the wood. American elm does have white wood. It's an attractive looking hardwood, but because of cross grains, it's hard to dry, so it doesn't have a lot of high quality uses. But you will see use from some things. All right. What's the fruit on an elm? What's the fruit on American elm and a slippery elm? What's the fruit on an elm? It's actually also a samara, but it looks much different than the samara we looked at just a little bit ago with the maples. It's actually kind of circular. The seed's in the middle. It's got a wing that goes around the outside of it. So it's flat, got a seed in the middle, kind of on the circle around the outside of it. It matures late May, all right, and they're one of the first things to mature, so they are utilized by wildlife for food. Squirrels, turkeys, birds, other things will eat elm seed. All right. Questions on elm, American elm. Ulmus americana in the Ulmaceae family.
What are you doing, Gilly? Just trekking through limbs like that.
Opposite or alternate? Alternate. Okay. Simple or compound? What kind?
This is a locust. I think. Pretty sure, like.
Simple or what kind of compound? It's pinnately compound, and if you look, I don't see any down here close where I can reach them, but if you look on some of the tips out on the end and some of the higher parts of the tree, it's bipinnate. So it's got pinnate and bipinnately compound leaves on the same tree.
What am I looking at right now?
Right there. All right, see this? This is a pinnately compound.
Yeah, what? Like it? I think it means like. Where
That's
it
one
has
leaf.
An odd number and an even number.
All right, that's one leaf. And if you look up there, there's a couple of these that it's actually bipinnately compound. And I don't see any that I can reach.
Do you see any I can reach?
No, the only ones I see are.
Yeah, that might be a couple inches away from you.
Yeah, but I can see them here on the tip of his limb.
Stretch for it.
All right. What is this? What kind of locust?
Honey locust.
This is honey locust. Gladitsia tricanthos. Gladitsia tricanthos in the Caesalpinaceae family. That's one. The compound. All right. What do we use honey locust for? Well, back in the day, the pulp in between the seeds was very sweet, and they would kind of use it as a honey substitute. It's-
Did they also use it
no, wait a
for,
minute. The Paul Point honey locust. I always get these backwards. Does have sweet different flowers.
They use locusts for like fancy folks too.
That's a different locust. Right. This is commonly planted as an ornamental. All right, does have sometimes different ones have different flowers on it, but the ones that are planted for ornamentals have been or are a specific variety. Because if you find this in the wild and it's a true honey locust, it will be covered with branched thorns. Thorns that come right off the stem of the tree. Those things may be that long, the size of a pencil, may have 2 or 3 branches sticking off of them, or just as sharp. All right. So this is the ornamental variety. It's I forget exactly. It's a tetraploid something. I forget what it is. All right. But we will see these in the wild. But then you also see them very commonly planted. They're here. They're down streets down along there. You can find them all over the place planted as ornamentals. What's that? Oh yeah, they're the ones that actually have thorns on them are quite scary looking. There's one up, you can see from the road, you go clear to the end of Patterson Creek Road up to Petersburg, and just before you get to Route 42 up at Maysville, there's one off the side of the road, and it almost looks furry because it's got so many thorns and stuff on the whole bottom part of the trunk. All right, you can look off the side, or it's close enough road you can see it. And like I said, it literally looks furry. It's got so many thorns and stuff on it. What's the fruit on honey locust? Remember, anything in this family, the Caesalpinaceae family, is a legume. So that's the fruits. Legumes are kind of like bean pods. All right, what a lot of people think of. This one, I don't know that I've ever seen fruit on this one, but honey locusts can get long strap-like ones, and they'll kind of twist. All right.
Oh, yeah.
The fruit should be on them now. They flower in summertime. Fruit should be on them now, and they are occasionally eaten by wildlife. They're not very high on the preferability list. I did see an episode of, I don't know, something on television, and they were in Montana or something, and there was a grove of honey locusts down along this one river, and that's what the deer seem to be eating on, so that's where they put their trees down. I wouldn't do that here, but apparently they will eat them if need be.
Does this have edible flowers?
Not that I know of. I know people eat black locust bloom, but I've not heard anybody eating honey locust bloom. All right, questions on the wood, kind of a reddish brown color. Not a lot of it here to be that much of a market. There are some special uses and things for it, but not much. Not much, especially here where we don't have much of it in the wild. Although we do have some. Right. Questions on honey locust. Bladitsia triacanthos in the Caesalpinaceae family. Any questions? All right.